Hello and welcome to this Q&A for Pebbles. My name is Rajendra Roy, Chief Curator of Film at the Museum of Modern Art and member of the selection committee for the 50th annual New Directors, New Films. I would like to thank the support for this festival, which comes from Film at Lincoln Center's New Wave membership program. Film at MoMA is sponsored by Chanel and our annual film fund. It's now my pleasure to welcome the director, the first-time director of Pebbles, P.S. Vinothraj, and Mr. Kurapaya, who will be working with us to help translate. Thank you both for joining us, and congratulations.
Thank you so much, and it's a great pleasure to be a part of it.
So, Vinod, you had a remarkable beginning to this project's public life in Rotterdam, where it recently premiered and won the Tiger Prize, which is the main prize of the festival. Congratulations on that. And I'm just wondering your experience of putting this film out into the world so far.
எப்படி சொல்றது, ரொம்ப நன்றி நீங்க படத்தை விஷ் பண்ணதுக்கு. இந்த எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் எப்படி இருக்குன்னா, ஒரு படம் ஃபெஸ்டிவல்ஸ்க்கு எல்லாத்துக்கும் போயிட்டு இருக்கு. நாங்க போகணும்னு நினைக்கிறோம், பட் முடியல. எல்லா படத்து ஃபெஸ்டிவல்ஸ்க்கும் படம் போயிட்டு இருக்கு. ஸோ அது வரைக்கும் ரொம்ப சந்தோஷம் தான். ஆனால் நாங்கள் போக முடியன்ற ஒரு வருத்தம் இருக்கு. எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸா அதுதான் எங்களுக்கு கொஞ்சம் இதா இருக்கு. இந்த குவாரண்டைன் இந்த டைம்னால வர முடியல. நம்மளால போய் நேரில் அவங்க ஒவ்வொரு ஊர்ல ஒரு நாட்டுல இருக்கவங்க அந்த படத்தை பார்த்துட்டு எப்படி ரியாக்ட் பண்றாங்க, அந்த இதை நம்ம அனுபவிக்க முடியல. அந்த இதுதான் இருக்கு. பட் படம் இவ்வளவு பெருசா வந்திருக்குது, எல்லா ஃபெஸ்டிவல்லையும் செலக்ட் ஆயிட்டு இருக்குது. அதெல்லாம் ரொம்ப சந்தோஷமா இருக்கு.
Okay. With regard to our presentation in Rotterdam, initially, we believed that this film will be accepted by the audience, beyond boundaries. When it won the Rotterdam, we were actually speechless, and that moment was fantastic. And thanks to you for wishing us, and thanks to your team for having us part of New Directors, New Films, which is a big honor for us. And to have the US premiere there, that's one thing. And with regard to the experience, what we would like to say is, though the film is traveling to several festivals worldwide, the only concern or the only worry that we have is we couldn't be part of these festivals in person, due to this pandemic and stuff. That's the only worry. However, we are glad to some extent that we are able to actually interact with the people who are part of the festival, like you, Mr. Rajendra, which is actually making us feel good and not making us feel that we have lost a lot by not being there in person. So that's the only worry, and experience has been fantastic, and there has been terrific feedback and reviews from several critics and audience who had written to us, which really makes us feel happy. And several critics have specified even the minutest of details precisely, which really makes us happy as a filmmaker. And we're happy that it has given the purpose, to serve the purpose of making this film.
Absolutely. No, we're very sad that we can't be together in person, but honored to have you here with us virtually. And we know that this will be just the first meeting of many in the future. So I want to begin really by mentioning or asking you about the very personal nature of this film. It's my understanding, or I've read, that actually your sister made a walk very similar to the one that is described in the film, only it's one that we don't see in the film. It's one that happens before the film. Could you please talk to us a little bit about that experience that your sister had and how it inspired you to make this film?
என்னோட தங்கச்சிக்கு இது ரியலா நடந்திருந்தாலும் நான் முதல்ல அந்த விஷயம் எனக்கு ரொம்ப ஒரு மாதிரி பாதிப்பா இருந்துச்சு. சரி, நம்மளோட சொந்த வாழ்க்கையில் நடந்ததை இதை நம்ம கதையா பண்ணுமா, இதை படமா பண்ணுமான்னு யோசிச்சுட்டு இருக்கும்போது, அது சம்பந்தமா அது எல்லாத்துக்கும் நடக்கிறது. ஒவ்வொரு லேண்ட்ஸ்கேப்ல ஒவ்வொரு மாதிரி எமோஷன்ல அது வெளிவருது அப்படின்னு தான் எனக்கு தோணுச்சு. அந்த கான்ஃபிடென்ட்ல தான் அந்த படம் முதல்ல ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணோம். இப்போ படம் எடுத்து முடிச்சோடனே தான் தெரியுது, இது எல்லாத்துக்கும் கனெக்ட் ஆகும்போது எல்லாம் எல்லா வகையிலும் வந்து ஒவ்வொருத்தவங்களும் இந்த படத்தை பார்த்துட்டு பேசும்போது வந்து ஏதோ ஒரு வகையில வந்து அது அவங்களோட கனெக்ட் ஆகிக்கிறாங்க இந்த படத்துல. அது கூடுதலா நம்பிக்கையா இருக்கு. வேற என்னன்னு சொன்னீங்க?
அந்த தங்கச்சி நடந்தது அந்த இன்சிடென்ட் எந்த அளவுக்கு உங்களுக்கு இம்பாக்ட் கிரியேட் பண்ணுச்சு அப்படின்றது.
அதான் நம்ம அந்த தங்கச்சி நடந்து வந்துட்டா. சோ நம்மளுக்கு சினிமா வந்து இது பண்ணும்போது வந்து இதை அப்படியே நம்ம எடுத்துக்க முடியாது. எனக்கு பர்சனலா வந்து போற போக்குல வந்து சரி விடு, உன் பையன் வந்து வளர்ந்து வந்து கேள்வி கேட்பான் அப்படின்னு நான் வந்து என் தங்கச்சிக்கு ஆறுதல் சொல்லிட்டேன். பட் ஆனா நம்மளுக்கு ஒரு சின்னதா ஒரு இது இருக்கும்ல, அதனால சினிமாவை கன்வே பண்ணும்போது அவங்க தங்கச்சி வீட்டுக்கார நடந்து வந்தா எப்படி இருக்கும், ஒரு நாள் அவன் எப்படி நடந்து வந்தா எப்படி இருக்கும் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிதான் இந்த சினிமாவுக்கு நம்ம அதை கன்வெர்ட் பண்ணோம். அதான் ஓகே.
Like as I mean, whatever that you've read is true. It's actually inspired from the real life incident which happened in the director's life, wherein his sister was like chased away by her husband, and she walked for about 13 to 15 kilometers odd with a baby in her hand. And that walk actually had a very deep impact in Vinothraj. And when he got into filmmaking, he wanted to tell this story somehow. But then the question arose as to, just because it has happened in his real life doesn't mean that he needs to make it as a story. But then, so when he started doing some research on the people out here, he understood that this is not just an incident which has happened to his sister alone, but it's been like a day in and out incident which is happening in several people's lives. And it's not just restricted to a certain boundary or a landscape. See, we are part of down south of Tamil Nadu, but then this story could happen elsewhere in India, or I mean beyond the country also, like somewhere in Europe or somewhere in Africa or somewhere anywhere around the world. So that is what I feel, because everybody such incidents are happening throughout the world, and everybody has their own way of expressing an emotion, getting it out emotionally. So that is what actually made him to write the script for this and present it to the audience. And he's glad that like people are able to connect to several incidents in the film, and they're able to relate it to and whatever he thought was has been confirmed now as like this film is not just pertain to a particular boundary or a landscape, but on a broader perspective to the whole world as such. So with regard to that, he's happy that it has come out.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was the case for me. I have to say it also, this film was quite personal for me, in as much as I had the experience as a young child of my father coming to school to take me out of school because of some family drama that as a young child, I didn't really understand, but I knew that my father was upset, clearly, because he took me out of school, and that made me upset and involved me in this adult story. I mean, my father happened to be South Indian and my grandmother was Tamil, so there is this connection, but I do think there's this universal or element of a child being brought into an adult situation. And perhaps he could speak about working with this incredible child actor who seemed to be able to so well navigate the experience of being put into this adult situation, but still remaining childlike in his observations.
அந்த பையன் மட்டும் கிடையாது, இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு ஸ்ட்ரகிள்ல சந்திச்சுட்டு வர்றவங்க வந்து இப்ப இந்த பையனையே நம்ம சூஸ் பண்ணோம் இந்த கேரக்டருக்கு அப்படின்னா, அவன் ரியல் லைஃப்லயே அப்படிப்பட்ட ஒரு லைஃப் தான் வாழ்ந்துகிட்டு இருக்கான். சோ அதுக்காகவே தான் மெயின் ரீசன் அவனை சூஸ் பண்ணது. அவன் அப்புறம் இப்படிப்பட்ட வளர்ற குழந்தைகளுக்கு வந்து அந்த ஏஜை தாண்டின ஒரு 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 புரிதல், அந்த மெச்சூரிட்டி இருக்குங்க கண்டிப்பா. அப்படிதான் நானும் பாக்குறேன். நம்ம அப்படிதான் வளர்ந்து வந்திருக்கோம். இது நம்ம வீட்லயே நான் குழந்தையா இருக்கும் போது நடந்திருக்கு. சோ அப்படிதான் வந்து இந்த பையனை இது பண்றோம். என்னதான் அந்த ஒரு அவனுக்குள்ள ஒரு சின்ன சின்ன இடத்துலதான் வந்து அவன் சிறுவனா வந்து காட்டிக்கிறதுக்கு ஒரு வாய்ப்பு இருக்கும். அதான் அந்த பலூனா இருக்கட்டும், அந்த சில அந்த குழந்தையோட இது பண்றதா இருக்கட்டும், அந்த நாய் பொம்மை தூக்கிட்டு போறா இருக்கட்டும், அவன் குழந்தையா இருக்கதான் முயற்சி பண்ணுவான். அந்த சூழல் அவனை விடாது. அவனை வந்து அந்த குடும்ப சூழல, அந்த பிரச்சனை, அவங்க அப்பன், அந்த அட்மாஸ்பியர் எதுவுமே அவனை அப்படி இருக்கவே விடாது. சின்ன பையனாவே அவனை வந்து மாறியதான் மெச்சூரிட்டியா தான் திங்க் பண்ண வைக்கும். அந்த கேரக்டர் தான் மோஸ்ட் ஆஃப் அங்க இருக்க பசங்க, இந்த மாதிரியான ஒரு சூழல்ல இருக்க பசங்க இப்படிதான் இருப்பாங்க.
It feels emotional for him that like you had a similar childhood as well, like such a situation that you encountered, and as you rightly pointed out, the child actually wants to be in their own world. Like the children's world is quite beautiful with small things which makes them really happy and excited. But then the situations around them, the environment around them, the family, everything turns the child into an adult at a very young age. So that is what has happened, and that is not a one-off situation as such. This is the situation in most of the families where the child acts beyond their age, thinks beyond their age, and that is what was seen in that is what is seen it quite often. And the reason for which this particular boy was chosen, his name is Chellapandi, like because he actually in real life goes through a similar pain, wherein he actually is the one who takes care of his family, who consoles his mother when his mother or when his father beats up his mother or something. He's the one who goes and consoles his mother, and he's the one who takes care of his younger little sister also. That is the kind of maturity this little boy showed, and that is the primary reason for which Vinothraj picked up this guy for this character, because he would be able to understand what exactly the story is all about, and he believed that this guy would be the perfect choice to emote in a perfect manner. And he is glad that he was able to pull it off with ease. Like whatever he said, he was immediately able to understand that, and he immediately emoted it. This is how I behaved like that. This is how I behaved in such a situation. So this is the primary reason for which he chose that boy, and he is glad that it has come out the way he actually thought of. And such child are everywhere, and we see them day in and out. That's quite painful, and he just wants to address their issues. They want to be in that children's zone, children's world, but then the environment or the family doesn't let them to be in their own world. So that is what he wanted to portray as well in this film.
Yeah, and so incredibly movingly. So maybe he could speak a little bit about casting the entire film, because I know, or I read, that he spent a lot of time in the Tamil theater scene. And so a lot of these actors or non-actors, non-previous actors had come from the theater world, because in Tamil cinema, there is a huge Tamil cinema industry on the commercial side. But this being more intimate, independent work, I think he perhaps found more resources in his actors in the theatrical world. Is that true? And how did he find these actors?
ஓகே, நான் ஒரு क्वेश्चனுக்கு நான் ஆன்சர் சொல்றேன். இப்போ இவங்க நம்ம ஏன் கமர்ஷியல் ஆர்டிஸ்ட் வேண்டாம் அப்படிலாம் நான் முதல்ல திங்க் பண்ணல. இந்த கதை எழுதிட்டு இந்த கதைக்கான லொகேஷன் தேடி அலைஞ்சிட்டு இருக்கும்போது எங்க ஊர் பக்கத்துல ஒரு லொகேஷன் அரட்டா அந்த லொகேஷன் கிடைச்சிச்சு. ஸோ அங்க போய் இந்த கதையை ரெடி பண்ணிட்டு இருக்க. ஸோ இங்க இருக்கவங்கள வச்சே நம்ம இந்த படம் பண்ணாதான் இன்னும் நேர்மையாகவும் ஒரிஜினலா வரும் அப்படின்னு எனக்கு தோணுச்சு. ஸோ அதனாலதான் அங்க இருக்க ஊர்ல சுத்தி இருக்க மக்களவே நான் தேர்வு செஞ்சேன். இவங்க கமர்ஷியல் ஆர்டிஸ்ட் அப்படி இண்டிபெண்டன்ட் ஆர்டிஸ்ட் அப்படி நான் இது பண்ணல, பிரிக்கல. இன்னொன்னு தியேட்டர்ல ஒர்க் பண்ணது எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் எப்படி இருந்துச்சுன்னா, இந்த படம் ஓரளவுக்கு நேர்மையா ஒரு ஃபிலிம் லாங்குவேஜோட ஒரு ஸ்டேஜிங்கோட ஒரு ஷார்ட் கம்போசிங்கோட வந்திருக்குன்னா, நான் தியேட்டர் எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் வந்து எனக்கு பயங்கர ஹெல்ப்ஃபுல்லா இருந்திருக்கு. அங்க ஒவ்வொரு பிளேவும் நடக்கும்போது நான் அதுல இருந்து நிறைய விஷயம் லேர்ன் பண்ணிட்டேன். அவங்களோட டிராவல் பண்ணும்போது அங்கதான் நம்ம இந்த படத்துல மெயின் லீடா நடிச்ச கார்த்துடையான்றவரை நான் சந்திச்சேன். அவர் பார்க்கும்போது சரி இந்த கதைக்கு ரொம்ப பொருத்தமா இருப்பாரு அப்படின்னு சொல்லிதான் நாங்க அவர்கிட்ட போய் அவரை சூஸ் பண்ணோம். வேற என்ன
காஸ்டிங் வேற மத்த காஸ்டிங்
மத்ததான் அவரை சூஸ் பண்ணிட்டு அப்புறம் அவர்கிட்ட போய் கதை சொன்னோம், பிடிச்சிருக்கு பண்றேன்னு சொல்லிட்டாரு. மித்த யார் எல்லாம் பண்ணலாம் போது அந்த செல்லப்பாண்டி கேரக்டர், அதான் அந்த கேரக்டரை தாங்குறதுக்கு அதை கரெக்டா ஒரு பிரசன்ட் பண்றதுக்கு இதே மாதிரி ஒரு பெயின்ஃபுல்லான ஒரு லைஃப்ல உள்ள ஒரு பையன் தான் வேணும் அப்படின்னு சொல்லி நாங்க தேடிட்டு இருக்கும்போது இந்த பையன் கிடைச்சான். இந்த பையன் கிட்டத்தட்ட இந்த படத்துல இருக்க ஒரு பையனோட அதிகமான ஒரு சூழல்ல வாழ்றவன் தான். ஸோ அவன் கரெக்டா பண்ணுவான்னு தோணுச்சு. மித்த இருக்க ஆர்டிஸ்ட் எல்லாம் வந்து அங்க இருக்கவங்களுக்கே ஒவ்வொருத்தவங்களா வந்து பிக் பண்ணி அவங்களுக்கு நல்லா ரிஹர்சல் கொடுத்து அந்த அவங்க ஃபுல் அந்த அவங்க பண்ண போற சீனுக்கு வந்து நல்ல ரிஹர்சல் கொடுத்து அவங்க ரெடி ஆனப்பறதான் நாங்க ஷூட்டே போனோம்.
Okay. Okay. I mean, Vinothraj had assisted in couple of Tamil films in probably a commercial film basically, and though after writing the script, he never had the intention to have any theater actors or any non-actors as such. Initially, he had a thought of having the artist who has an experience, but then when he went to the villages and when he was searching for the location and started working there, researching there and meeting with people, he started believing that this script needs something else, and he believed that only if he has the actors from these regions, he would be able to present the film honestly and originally. So that is the reason he decided to look out for actors from these regions. And second thing is, with regard to his experience in theater, he credits theater experience a lot for the kind of film language that he has got in this film, and for the kind of staging and the shot composition, everything. It's because of the theater experience that he has gained out of it. He spent about a year and a half in theater, and that is what he believes has brought this work so honestly and so originally. And that in theater is the place where he found this lead actor, the father character who played. His name is Karuthadayan. He played in the theater, and he had an acquaintance with him. Once he completed the script, the first person who came into his mind was Mr. Karuthadayan. Because he had that rage whenever he performed in theater. He had that rage, and the kind of voice and the skin tone that he had was exactly that he had visualized while writing the script. So I immediately approached him, and somehow he was hesitant to act in films. Somehow he convinced him and got him on board. And after which he worked on a lot of other aspects too. Because the people in this region were heavily dependent on farming once, but then the farming is no more because of the drought and stuff. So people started going for this small loading and unloading in markets and places. So he had observed a lot of characteristics in these people, like the walk that he does, the specific walk that Mr. Karuthadayan is quite unique. It is unique because it is unique for the people who are involved in loading of the baggages, heavy baggages, like in the markets. So he brought in with the actor, he worked with the actor, and he actually spent time in the market. And that is how that characteristic also was got in even the way in which he lights up the BD, Yeah. So even that one was very similar to the ones who are working in the market and the people belonging there. So several things were thought of, and they got everything on board. And the child, as I told you, his life is much more painful than what is there in the script. So he was on board. And then with regard to the other actors, like whoever he had interacted over a period of 2-3 years or so while researching on the script, he brought everybody on board. And everybody were non-actors, and almost everyone in the film, except for the producers, is a debut feature film,
Amazing.
I'm sure you must be aware that the producers, Nayanthara is one of the most topmost actors in South Indian film industry, and that Vignesh Shivan is one of the big commercial directors in South India, in Tamil industry. So rest everybody it's their first film experience,
Well, it's an amazing group of people that came together for this, and I'm sure the producers, as famous and successful as they are, they must be incredibly proud of this effort. One element of the crew, or it's more than one element actually, but that really I'm curious about is the fact that he worked with 2 cinematographers, 2 collaborators in creating this incredible visual poetry. Really, beauty is used too easily, but there is an incredible beauty that I think is critical with such a hard story, with such a hard narrative about family, to have the balance of this incredibly skillful, beautiful image that is created. But how do you work with two collaborators to create this beautiful image?
இல்ல அது வந்து அந்த நிலம் சொன்னதுதானே என்னன்னா அவங்க ரெண்டு பேருமே என்னோட ஃப்ரெண்டு தான். அந்த ஸ்கிரிப்ட் ஆரம்பிச்சதுல இருந்தே லொகேஷன் தேட ஆரம்பிச்சதுல இருந்தே ரெண்டு பேருமே பயணிச்சுக்கிட்டு இருக்காங்க. ஸோ நாங்க 3 பேரும் சேர்ந்துதான் லொகேஷன் போறது. லொகேஷன் போயிட்டு ஒவ்வொரு சீனும் எப்படி வரும், ஒரு ஆர்டிஸ்ட் எங்க நிப்பாங்க, இந்த இதுக்கு எப்படி ஷாட் வச்சுக்கலாம், இந்த லேண்டை எப்படி நம்ம பதிவு பண்ண போறோம் அப்படின்றது 3 பேத்துக்குள்ளயுமே நல்ல ஒரு அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்டிங் இருந்துச்சு. ஒவ்வொரு அப்புறம் இன்னொரு விஷயம் 2 கேமராமேன் தான் தேவைப்படுற மாதிரி இருந்துச்சு. ஏன்னா ஒரு ஒரு இந்த வெதர் கண்டிஷனுக்கு வந்து உடனே ஒரு ஷாட் எடுத்தோடனே ஒரு கேமரா வந்து ஆங் ஆகி அப்படியே ஒரு மாதிரி பவர் ஆயிரும், ஒரு மாதிரி இது பண்ண ஆரம்பிச்சிடும், வைப்ரேட் ஆகி உதறலாம் ஆரம்பிச்சிடும். அப்புறம் கிம்பிள். சோ இது 2 கேமராமேன் இருந்தாதான் ஒருத்தவங்க அதை போய் சரி பண்ணிட்டு இருக்க முடியும், இன்னொருத்தவங்க ஷாட் எடுக்க முடியும். அவன் ஒரு 2 ஷாட் எடுத்தானா அதுக்குள்ள அந்த கேமரா வந்து அந்த வெதர் கண்டிஷனுக்கு வந்து அது மக்கர் பண்ண ஆரம்பிச்சிடும், அது ஹீட் ஆக ஆரம்பிச்சிடும், அதை தூக்கிட்டு போய் அவன் ஒருத்த சரி பண்ணிட்டு இருப்பான். இப்படியே மாறி மாறி தான் பண்ணுச்சு. ஸோ அது 3 பேத்துக்குள்ளே ஒரு அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்டிங் இருந்தாலும் நம்ம முதையே இல்லைன்னா ஷார்ட்டு என்ன ஒரு சீனுக்கு ஒரு நாள் கம்போசிங் என்ன, ஷார்ட் கம்போசிங் என்னன்னு எல்லாமே பிளான் பண்ணனால அது ஒரு பெரிய இதா இல்லைன்னு அவங்க ஒரு அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்டிங் தான்.
Okay, like both the cinematographers, the names of them are like Vignesh Kumulai and Jaya Parthiv. They both are very close friends of Vinothraj for a long time. And after he wrote the script, and when Vinothraj was researching for the script, he called them over and they started traveling with him, doing the research and spending time in the location, because they believed that Vinothraj, while writing the script itself, believed that the location plays a major role, because he conceived the location itself, the landscape itself, as a character. So he wanted the cinematographers to be part of it, and they obliged to it, and they spent a lot of time in those landscape, and they made sure that they walked through these landscapes every day, and they discussed on the possibilities of staging and short compositions and stuff. They believe that the landscape itself gave them the kind of the short compositions. That is what he believes actually. He believes that the landscape came and told him as what exactly the shot has to be, how exactly it has to be framed and stuff. And regarding working atmosphere between these three are since they are very good friends and they do understand each other, it was very easy for them. And the other thing is both the cinematographers were present throughout the 37 days of shoot. It's not that he shot for a limited number of days and the other one for the rest of the days. They both were in the shoot. And there was another thing, which is they both has to be there. Vinothraj believed that only 2 cinematographers can handle this film because of the weather condition there, because they shot it in Indian summer, especially in down Madurai in May month. Just imagine the kind of heat waves that you have, and he was very particular that the film has to be shot only between morning 11 to 3.
My God.
And it was so hot that the camera gets heated up and started vibrating, and the images got blurred and stuff. The heat waves was so much that they couldn't stand, and on top of it, everybody has to walk barefoot. So that's another challenge for them. Because it was sync sound, everybody has to walk barefoot, and the cinematographers has to also after every time the shot was cut, everybody has to run around looking for a shadow to place their feet. So that is the kind of situation these people are in. So he believes that only 2 cinematographers could have handled this. At least one of the cinematographers would have run halfway through the shoot. So that is one major reason. And even in the and also handling the gimbal was a challenge. So it required a lot of strength. With the kind of dehydration that people were going through during the shoot, it required 2 cinematographers to complete it. And even during the long shot sequence where they go to the wife's village, that's quite a lengthy sequence, close to 10 to 11 minutes or so. And both the cinematographers handled the gimbal in that shot, and it was made so smooth. The transition was made so smooth that that was not visible to the naked eye. So that is the kind of precision with which these 2 cinematographers worked, and he's extremely glad that they had them on board, such a cooperating people, and who loved films and who wanted to be part of such scripts. So he's blessed to have such a team as a part of Pebbles.
Truly, truly. Yeah, he'll have to work on the barefoot summer shooting if he ever wants to come to the US to work, because I don't think the unions would accept that, but incredible dedication, incredible dedication.
That's another reason for which we couldn't get the professional actors. You know how the professional actors behave. They might need a caravan and they can't. So they would
Wow.
probably.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Kubrick has nothing on Vinothraj. Well, I wanted to end on a question about the incredible small delights. You mentioned it. You both spoke earlier about this ability for the young boy to focus in on the small delights of his life, as the pain around him in his life was growing and becoming more and more intense. And I think for us as viewers, these small things, whether the small plastic toys or the mirror, or even the joy of finding these desert rats, and obviously of finding the pebbles, they create this, for me, this constellation of incredible details that really hold the film together. So it's almost like you have this whole environment, or this universe of small delights that hold the world together when the pressure to come apart is so great. Maybe just if you could speak a little bit about finding these small details and connecting them all through the film.
அதானே, என்னை பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் நம்ம ஒரு 2-3 கேரக்டர் சித்தரிக்கிறோம், அவங்கள சுத்தி மட்டும் படம் நடக்குது, அப்படி அந்த மாதிரியான ஒரு அவங்கள மட்டும் ஃபாலோ பண்ணுது அப்படின்றது எனக்கு தெரியல. நான் என்ன நினைக்கிறேன்னா, நம்ம ஒரு கதை ஒண்ணு சொல்றோம், அது எந்த லேண்ட்ஸ்கேப்ல சொல்றோம், அதை சுத்தி இருக்க ஆட்கள் யாரு, அங்க என்ன நிகழுது, எதை நோக்கின ஒரு டிராவலா இருக்கு அப்படின்றது அதா இருக்கு. அதுலதான் இந்த எல்லாமே எனக்கு கிடைச்சது. இப்ப அந்த சின்ன பையனை வச்சு பண்ணும்போது அந்த சின்ன பையனுக்கு உண்டான தன்மையும் இருக்கணும், அவன் என்னென்ன கொண்டு போனா அது கதைக்கு ரிலேட்டடா தான். இப்ப எல்லாமே ஒருங்கிணைஞ்சு வருதுன்னா அது கதையோட ரிலேட்டடா, கதைக்கு தொடர்புடையதா இருக்கனால அந்த ஒரு பொம்மையை வச்சுட்டு போறான்னா அவன் தங்கச்சிக்காக கொண்டு போவான். இப்ப அந்த எலி பிடிக்கிற குழந்தை அங்கனக்குள்ள இருக்கிற சின்ன அதுக்குள்ள இருக்க அந்த நெருக்கடியான ஒரு வாழ்க்கைக்குள்ள கூட சின்ன சின்ன சந்தோஷத்தை சின்ன பிள்ளைலாம் தேடி கண்டுபிடிக்கும், குழந்தையை தேடி கண்டுபிடிக்கின்ற மாதிரி அவங்க போய் அந்த இலையை பொறுக்கி அந்த இது பண்ணி அதுக்குள்ள இருக்க ஒரு சந்தோஷத்தை தேடிக்கிறது. அந்த பலூனை வந்து தங்கச்சி ஊருக்கு தான் போறோம்னு தெரிஞ்சு தங்கச்சிக்கு அந்த பலூனை ஊதி பஸ்ஸுக்கு வெளியே காட்டுறது, சின்ன சின்ன விளையாட்டுத்தனம் தான். அப்புறம் வந்து அந்த நம்ம ஒரு கதை சொல்றோம், அந்த கதையை மட்டுமே சொல்லாம சுத்தி இருக்க அட்மாஸ்பியர்லயும் அவங்க என்னென்ன மனநிலையில இருக்காங்க, அவங்களாம் இதுல எப்படி பிரதிபலிக்க போறாங்க, நம்ம ஒரு கேரக்டரை எப்படி ஒரு கேரக்டர் காட்டலாம், அந்த கேரக்டரை வேற மாதிரி எப்படி ரெசம்பன்ஸா நம்ம காட்ட போறோம் அப்படின்றதுதான் முதல்ல எனக்கு தோணுது. அந்த தாட்ல தான் இது பண்ணேன். ஸோ ஒரு கதையை நம்ம வேற நேரடியா அந்த கதாபாத்திரங்களை வச்சு மட்டுமே சொல்லாம அந்த சுத்தி இருக்க நிலங்கள் அதுல இருக்க வெவ்வேறு மனிதர்களை வச்சு சொல்லும் போதுதான் இப்படி ஒண்ணு உருவாயிருக்குன்னு நான் நம்புறேன்.
Like when just because the script involves 2 characters, he believes that it doesn't mean that it has to just address a limited set of things with these 2 characters, but then he believes that it is a story of the people living in these landscapes, in these environments. So he actually wanted to bring the entire set of emotions into the film. And with regard to the child character, like the child's world is really beautiful. Even for example, the child who is involved in that rat sequence, if you remember, she has her own happiness. Even catching the rat it's a joy for her. Yeah. Basically, and she throws the leaves and has that moment for herself. Though they have a very painful life where they have to be dependent on rats, like she has her own moment, and that's the childlike joy that she has. And with regard to the Chellapandi character, the little boy, there are several such moments. He lives in his own world. His revenge on his father is a childlike only. For example, showing the mirror on the back of the father is a childlike revenge that the kids do. When you're a kid, you normally do that thing on the father, on others. So that is what he's trying to do, and he feels happy. So he feels happy that, yeah, I made my father to walk by tearing the money. So I think he'll feel how my mother would have walked in this hot sun. So that is the kind of thought that's running in his mind. And same way, so he wants to punish his dad. So he starts showing the mirror and makes him feel the heat on his back. So such a small joys that he has in his entire journey in the film. And in the end, if you see, you would have noticed that in the rock, he would have written the names of his mother, his name, and his sister initially. But then in the end, towards the end of the journey, he would have added his dad's name also. He had a hope, or he has a hope, that his father has realized this mistake. But then it turns otherwise, wherein the father comes and like beats him up badly, and it's another day for him. So that is how he lives with a little bit of hope, with little bit of happiness that surrounds him, his sister and puppy and stuff. He just lives with a hope that things will change in the near future. And another thing with regard to Pebbles is something very critical to the film. In olden days, people normally, when they travel for a longer distance, if they find a pebble, they'll just put it in their mouth. The reason being, they won't feel thirsty because it starts salivating inside, and you won't feel the thirst at all when you walk for a longer distance. And this guy is aware of it because the journey isn't that, it's not happening for that particular day, but it has happened. It could have happened before also, and it could happen after the film also. So like he has that pebble, and he just keeps walking so that he doesn't feel the thirst. So and normally the kids do it a lot, like even the little kids, if you see, they try to put something in their mouth because they want to keep salivating. So that is the kind of behavior that he exerts there in the film too. So several such small moments that he wanted to capture it and be a part of the film, because this is what the world is. This is how the world looks like, and this is how beautiful it is. So that is what he believed it, and he wanted it to be a part of the script and the film, and glad that it is received very well by the audience.
Absolutely. No, it just incredible gift that you've given us with this film, and all of those small moments adding up to something that is very impactful. And I know that we will work together again, and we will be able to welcome you here to New York in person. But until then, thank you both so much for being with us today.
Yeah, thank you so much. And just to add on, I would like to add about one thing in particular. Like one of the other reasons for which we wanted our film to travel worldwide is to make people aware that this is a Tamil film, because when Indian films, if you refer it to the Western world or anywhere in Europe, it is always conceived as a Bollywood film. But then in India there are like several industries which produce some top-notch films, across India, from south to north, from east to west. Like some splendid films have been made by different languages, and it has very big industries too. So we just wanted to say that we are from Tamil film industry, and it's a Tamil film, and we are really proud about that. And that's one thing. And second thing is we are thankful for new directors, new films, and the entire team for making this happen. And we are glad that at least we have a way to communicate to the audience like this virtual platform. And thanks to you, Mr. Rajender, for this wonderful session that we are having right now.
My great pleasure. And again, thank you so much for taking the time to share further with us the work on your film. Thanks so much, and stay safe.
Thanks so much.